All right, everybody, that's enough warnings. You're all stuck here with me. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Henry Skey. I am the distribution manager. Well, I am one of three distribution managers over here at RingPartner and the only webmaster guru. So thank you all very much for joining, guys. I know everybody's really busy and it's a little bit later in the afternoon, 1 o'clock here in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. So yeah, no, I want to thank everybody for joining. I know everyone's really busy trying to get us calls, or maybe you're interested in joining and maybe you signed up by accident. It doesn't really matter how or why you got here. The fact of the matter is that you are here. This is marketing plan number 4. This is a series of webinars that we've constructed to try and focus on individual specific campaigns. Now, a quick note, my word is not law. I would like it to be, but there's always a lot of changes going on. A constant theme of our industry is that, you all know the internet. It moves at a million miles an hour, and so do we, and so do the campaigns. So hopefully the information I've provided, will remain true. It has remained true for quite some time. We tend to only pick campaigns that have some staying power and really good legs, and we're not anticipating anything major changing. In fact, the one major change on this campaign is going to be to your benefit. So it's one of the reasons that we decided to pick this campaign here for you all today. I hope everybody can hear and see me okay. We're just going to do a quick PowerPoint here. Shouldn't be more than 15 or 20 minutes. If you have any questions, make sure to type them in the questions bar there. We'll probably get to them at the end. Hopefully I will answer them along the way. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And if I don't know the answer off the top of my head, I'll make sure to research it and let you guys know. So without further ado, here is marketing plan 4, find a lawyer now, auto accident, personal injury. And I should make a quick note, I think it's actually personal injury, auto accident. So if you're typing in word for word, you might not just type in auto accident and you'll find it under the My Campaign or find a campaigns list in Invoca there. Okay, so what are the fundamentals of this campaign? Legal. Legal in itself is a very different beast than other pay-per-call campaigns. In particular, it's a little more compliance heavy than others, and it tends to pay out more, which brings some positives and negatives into effect. Positive in that obviously a lot of you are really interested in it. And unlike here in Canada, in the US, apparently everybody sues everybody once a week. Litigation heavy for sure. So, a lot of questions I get, or rather a frequent question I get when I'm dealing with new partners is, do you have legal campaigns? And we absolutely do. We have a number of different legal campaigns, but this one in particular is probably the most notorious. It pays out the most. It's also probably the hardest to convert for newer partners, and they're also quite stingy on what is or what isn't a personal injury. But the fundamentals are that it's a legal campaign, and we're looking for callers who have suffered a personal injury through an auto accident. One of the common questions I get is, does this include things like tractors or, sort of non-traditional, automobiles? So like motorcycles. As far as I can tell, and throughout all the calls I've listened to, the common theme is yes. As long as it's an automotive vehicle or body or some kind, it will work. Things like cycling, we've got once in a while, and that one does not count unless they were, struck or swerved to avoid a car or a tractor or a motorcycle or a bus hitting them. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't limit yourself to just cars. And if you want, target different kinds of cars. Like a convertible, or were you hit by a luxury car, or a bus, or there's a number of different sort of methods that you can to make sure to target, because one of the common themes I will say of auto accident personal injury is that it's very competitive. So hopefully I'll be able to give you guys some more tips here in order for you to narrow down your targeting so you can find that niche. I think if you just straight up bid on personal injury or auto accidents, you're going to have a really hard time getting any kind of traffic, because these clicks are worth a lot of money. We talk a lot about on these webinars priming. You want to prime the callers to call in, which means you have to know more than the caller. Make sure to educate yourself, guys. Make sure you know the definition of a personal injury. This is when it gets a little tricky. Sometimes people have different definitions of what a personal injury is. From what I've read and from the calls I've listened to, basically it has to be an injury suffered due to negligence by somebody else. So, somebody slipping down their stairs would not be able to count as a personal injury or anything like that. It has to either be, be found that it was negligent on a different party, or, maybe not negligent, but at the fault of somebody else. We've had issues, with people calling in about, slipping on ice, and, somewhere it depends on where it is. That can get a little tricky. So do your research, guys. Try and find a number, maybe 4 or 5 different sources. Look up what the definition of a personal injury is. Make sure to educate yourself. And I know that's hard, because, a lot of our partners just want to get going. They want to drive calls. But I'll tell you guys, the only partners who make this work are those that know personal injury inside and out. Maybe you have a friend or a family member who is a lawyer. Just ask them, for a 5-minute chat about, what a personal injury is. How successful are they? What are the good cases versus the bad cases? So keep that in mind, guys. I won't be able to educate you, 100% on the legalities. I'm not a lawyer. My sister is. Maybe I could ask her. But I would say that's one of the major hurdles. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but we have many, many, many calls that happen where somebody will call in and immediately they'll ask, hi, this is Frank with personal injury. What is the nature of your personal injury? And so many times when people going, oh, well, I don't know if it's a personal injury. I was looking for a bankruptcy lawyer or something like that. They're going to hang up on them right away. So that's something I've noticed, is that a majority of the call durations don't even come close to the connect duration. And that's a pretty telling sign that we're basically targeting the wrong people right up front. We're not targeting like close, because otherwise we'd see a lot of calls that are close to the duration, but really we're seeing such a dichotomy. We're seeing a ton of calls that are way over the 2-minute duration and a ton of calls that barely make it to a minute. So that's why I wanted to do this webinar, to make sure that I give you guys all the information I know. So definitely keep that in mind. We've talked about it, auto accidents only. We do have a personal injury campaign that's not auto accident related. So if you feel a little intimidated, if you feel like you can't target, auto accidents, maybe around where you live, there just aren't a lot of cars or not a lot of car accidents, that's fine. I would stick with regular personal injury. More fundamentals, it's a 2-minute connect duration. I should have put that connect duration instead of a duration. So you guys know the difference between that, because you've obviously watched all my webinars. You've attended every single one, and you would know that we're looking for a connect duration to get paid. So the difference between that is a raw call and a paid call. A raw call is any number, or anytime someone calls your unique number. And when they go through the IVR, our IVR that we've set up at the beginning, that does not count towards the connect duration. We're looking for 2 minutes lasting a call once they get transferred to the buyer. So I get a lot of questions being like, Henry, this call was 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Why didn't it count? And in my head, I can already tell why. It's because they spent, 30 seconds in the IVR, or it's a repeat caller. Those don't count, guys. So definitely keep that in mind. Relatively good hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 6, sort of general office hours. The good news is that we have nationwide coverage. We've had some legal campaigns in the past where we have some difficulty targeting, compared to states, but that's always good. You want to target campaigns with good coverage. So targeting, what is and is not allowed. We do allow content/review sites like SEO. Promotions are good. Display, social media. Oh, I have display twice in there. Sorry, guys. Display twice and search only. These are the only promotion methods allowed. We do have quite a few requests about if we can do billboards or offline. You want to stay away from that, guys, and you absolutely want to stay away from Craigslist and directories. We don't want that traffic. I understand that many of you can make it work, and the quality may even be good, but I'm telling you guys now, we don't have a good selection of buyers that will accept that traffic, and a lot of our compliance issues that we've had, we haven't had that many compliance issues to be fair, but those that we have, a lot of them will stem from Craigslist use. So please stay away from that, guys. It's a good way to maybe get some traffic initially, but you're not going to get paid for those leads, because we're not going to get paid for those leads. So definitely something to keep in mind. All right, so now the good news. I feel like I've been harping on a little bit, and we've just been giving you bad news and bad news and bad news. This is a pretty significant change to this campaign. The good news is that the campaign now accepts 2 different kinds of injuries. So before, it was pretty much only major injuries were allowed. So, right away they would ask, okay, you have suffered a personal injury. Okay, any broken bones or a hospital visit. And if they hadn't broken any bones or gone to the hospital, they would hang up on them and they would say, we can't help you with this kind of injury. Now, The big change is that now they'll accept minor injuries as well. So things like torn ligaments, headache, whiplash, basically any kind of injury they will accept. So that's really good news, guys. Fundamentally, that's a major change to the campaign. We've already seen a big uptick in conversion rate from about 15% to 25 almost overnight. Payout to you will be 150 if they press 1 and 1. And that indicates the first step is that they have to press 1. The IVR goes something like this. Thank you for calling the personal injury experts. If you've suffered a personal injury from the result of an automobile accident and wish to speak to an injury lawyer, please press 1. If they press 2 there, they're going to get hung up on. The IVR is going to say, thank you very much, but this is not for you. We're only looking for people that have suffered personal injury. So if your conversion rate is looking low, have a look at those key presses. They're likely pressing 2 and you're targeting the wrong kind of people. The question after that is then going to ask about a hospital visit and broken bones. Press 1. That's where you're going to get paid more. That's where the payout comes from, 150. If they say the injuries were minor, no bones broken, but they still want to talk to a lawyer about it, press 2. And that's going to pay out $70 to you. And this is important to remember, guys. Our payouts are not set in stone. They're fluid. So if you end up running the campaign and saying good quality and a lot of calls and things like that, we can definitely make that work. We can probably pay you a little bit more. We're getting some really good questions, guys. I'm going to try and answer them all. One of the questions we're getting now is about pay-per-view or PPV traffic or pop traffic. Excellent question. I would say that's not a hard no, but it's not a hard yes. It sort of depends on what the buyer says. So the best thing to do in that case, if you're ever unsure, send in the creative to distribution@ringpartner.com and we will find out from the buyer if that is allowed. I would say the conversion rate for something like that is probably going to be lower unless you already have that, if you have the pop on a site that is about, legal troubles. I would say if I had to bet, and I am a bit of a betting man, as you guys know, I love my Vegas visits, I would say it's probably 60-40 yes. It probably depends on the creative, and we would probably count that as display. So great question. Make sure to email it to distribution@ringpartner.com, and we will find out for sure for you. But yeah, I would lean towards it probably being allowed. So excellent question, guys. We got a lot more questions. I'm going to try and get through them all. So let's move on a little bit from targeting to crucial information. Now, the crucial information I feel is the most important part of these webinars, and this comes from my own history as an account executive. I'm not on that side anymore. I'm on the distribution side, of course, and myself listening to the calls. And this is where the meat and potatoes, or if you're a vegetarian, just the potatoes, comes from. I'm going to try and get as many nuances as possible. I'm going to try and help you guys out. There's a lot of competition out there. There's not everybody's watching this webinar. You guys have done yourself a favor. I know I'm patting myself on the back a little bit here, but I think this is going to give you guys a competitive advantage and hopefully get you going. If you decide to run this campaign and get a paid call, if you attended this webinar, I'm going to give you a $25 bonus for your first conversion on auto accident personal injury. So keep that in mind, guys. If you run personal injury auto accident and you drive a paid call, I will give you a $25 bonus on top of that payout, just for your first call. So that's for attending the webinar. Want to make sure you guys are, encouraged and enticed and want to get the campaign rolling there. So definitely keep that in mind. Here's some crucial info. Oh my God, you guys, and I don't sound very professional here, but do not target lawyer names or law firms. And it's worth repeating. I hope you guys are listening. I know some of you are probably on a different window, and that's fine, and you can't see my face right now, and hey, that's fine. Listen to me. Do not target lawyer names or law firms. I cannot tell you how many partners that we've found out are doing this, and we have to suspend them. It doesn't matter if it's an old creative. It doesn't matter if you did it by accident. It doesn't matter. It does not matter, you guys. We will suspend you immediately. We cannot have you targeting lawyer names or law firms. Period. They are very quick to find out, and obviously it's against the terms and conditions, and it doesn't matter how good the quality was. You were running into the risk of us not paying you for your lead. So do not pretend to be a lawyer or any law firm. They will find out, and they love to throw around their legal weight. It's not going to work. So guys, if I'm going to be heartbroken, really, if I find out if any of you did this. Now, I've said it enough, so I'll just say it one more time. Don't bid on lawyer firms, or lawyer names or law firms or attorney names or what have you. Just don't do it. Another thing not to target, Don't target those who already have a lawyer or looking for their lawyer because they lost their number. This isn't necessarily a compliance violation, but they're just going to hang up on them and your conversion rate is going to stink. You're not going to make any money. We are looking for callers who need a lawyer, who don't already have one and have suffered a personal injury. Guys, we talk about priming a lot. We want to prime our callers. Here's a classic example. Mention in your page or your ad text or your pop-up or whatever that this is for callers who need a lawyer. If they're not, if they're unhappy with their current one and want to switch over, okay, I think that should be fine. But we can't have people being like, yeah, I already got my attorney involved, or oh, I can't find his number. I was just calling in for information. No good. I know that sounds unprofessional, you guys, with me making that noise, but that's the noise that we're going to make. It's no good. Quality is no good. So you want to make sure that you target people who need a lawyer, who are looking for one. One of the things you want to avoid also, and I say this about almost every campaign, is information seeking. The only information they should be able to be the only information they'll need is the information that you're providing them with on your landing page or your ad text. We don't want people calling in saying, oh, hi, I'm just shopping around looking for some information. They're going to hang up. They're going to hang up, you guys. I know it sounds mean, and it's not me. I'm not hanging up on them, but I'm telling you now, the buyers are going to hang up on them. These are serious payouts we're talking about. So avoid information seeking. We want action. We talked about, in the getting started webinar, not to be overly aggressive or hostile. Well, but you can give them a friendly push. You can encourage them to call in. And likewise, rightfully so. If they are injured, they need a lawyer, and you can provide them with one with this phone number. If you are new, and I mean new to RingPartner, and you don't have experience running legal campaigns, do not run this campaign. I understand that the payout is enticing. I understand that you may still want to run it. I understand if you have a really, really good website. Do not run this campaign, you guys. This is for people who already have a good amount of experience. You might get approved. I'm not going to lie. You might get approved if you have a good creative. But I'm begging you, listen to me and run either Find a Lawyer Now, General Legal, or the Legal Raw Call campaign, just until you get your feet wet. If you basically, sorry guys, I don't want you guys to lose any money. I don't want you to waste a ton of time and energy with the hardest legal campaign to convert. I want you guys to get your feet wet. I want you to establish a base and an understanding and find your niche with Find a Lawyer, General Legal, and Legal Raw Call. Or Legal Raw Call. Once you get comfortable with those campaigns, that's when you want to move on to auto accident and really ramp up. I can't tell you the number of times I see new partners come on and they'll say, okay, Henry, I want to run rehab, tax, and personal injury auto accident. And I just shake my head and I'm like, oh no, they just looked at the payouts. They don't know what they're doing. They're not going to get any conversions. No, this is not a good strategy, you guys. And if you're going to run any one of those campaigns, don't run all three for the love of God. Just don't run one of those. They're difficult. They're difficult to convert, you guys. There's a reason the payouts are so high. Don't be sucked in. And I know I'm sounding negative, but honestly, guys, I want you to succeed as much as possible. I want all you guys to make, tens of thousands of dollars with us a month. That's what I want. And I need you guys to trust me with my level of expertise that if you're new to this, if you're new to RingPartner and you've never run a legal campaign before, don't run auto accident personal injury. Run one of the lower paying out but easier converting offers first. Let's move on to crucial info number 2. And I appreciate you guys. I know this is a tricky subject and we've got so many of you here. I just want to thank you again and being patient. But I trust you, or you have to trust me that my it's not really scolding, but my urging comes from a good place. Okay, so what are they going to ask for? The first thing they're going to ask is, have you suffered a personal injury? If the person says yes or no, that's going to determine how the call goes. If they say no, they're going to hang up on them right away. We already talked about information seekers and things like that, but I want to talk a little bit about confusion on the caller side. This is going to be your biggest enemy. You're not going to have a hard time necessarily getting people interested in calling about a lawyer. Like I mentioned before, there's quite a lot of litigation, quite a lot of lawsuits happening in the United States. It's a huge country. There's 300, how many? You guys will probably all be yelling at me. There's something like 350 million people? I know it's about 10 times the population of Canada, but there's a lot out there. So people are going to be looking for this stuff. The problem is that people are going to be calling in and they don't necessarily know the law all that well. And I know I don't know the law that well, but these people do. And one of the barriers we're finding is the person calling in might have a good case, but the person picking up knows that they have a limited time to determine if it's a quality lead or not. So they're going to rush over things. They're not going to be able to sit down and let them tell them their life story. They're going to, there's only going to be like a window of maybe 5 or 10 seconds, maybe 15 for them to get their information across. So that's why it's really important that you prime your callers with a good amount of information. Make sure repeat callers don't call in. Say if you're looking for a specific lawyer, don't call this number. This number is not for you. You want to make sure you get a good conversion rate on this, guys, because besides not wasting money, and maybe you're doing SEO, you don't really care, about your conversion rate, but I tell you, the better the conversion rate you get, the more likely we're going to pay you more or lower the duration or extend the hours. This is all stuff that's going to be a competitive advantage to you versus other partners and RingPartner running it, or people on other networks out there. It's a dog eat dog world. It's really competitive. So make sure you're a step ahead. And I can't emphasize this enough, guys. Make sure you do your research. Go talk to, maybe you have a lawyer, and ask them. Take 5 minutes of your day. Send them an email. Ask them what they would consider a personal injury. Ask them, if they deal with any auto accidents, as their case. And if you can, ask them some general information about, what are the wrong kinds of cases, what are the good kinds of cases, things like that. That's probably the biggest hurdle here. It's much like something like tax or loans or something like that, where people's knowledge are not, the information level is so low, and it's hard to get that across. I mean, it's not like home services where, things like plumbing or tree removal or HVAC, it's so easy for the caller to call in and be like, yep, plumbing's broken, need a plumber. Well, what if they, compared to legal, what if they got injured on the job? Okay, is that a personal injury? Is it auto accident personal injury? Is it workers' comp? Is it, people just don't know. And sometimes you won't know. Every case is totally different. So something to keep in mind for sure. All right, guys, we are on our last slide. Thank you all for staying with me here. And I think we've got some good tidbits in here I want to mention. So let me get this straight. They're not calling into a lawyer's office. They're calling into a service that will connect them with an attorney. So that's probably something to keep in mind, and maybe something you want to promote is that they're basically calling into an aggregator. They're not calling into a specific law firm. So you can use language like qualified experts will connect you to a lawyer in your area. That's really key. People really love local stuff. If you want to use a local number and then redirect that to your Invoca number, you can absolutely do that. Put yourself in their shoes. If you try and pretend you're a potential caller and look at your creative, look at your banner, look at your landing page, look at your ad text. Would you feel comfortable calling into that number? And I mentioned a little bit of this on the Getting Started webinar, and I say that landing pages don't really need to be as sophisticated as maybe CPA offers, because that doesn't need to be as flashy. For a campaign like legal and for a campaign like auto accident personal injury, I might have to take that back. Your landing page has to look really good. We have a sample landing page available for you to use, but I would go above and beyond that. Check out Unbounce, check out a couple of tools. Make sure that people think or know that when they go to your landing page and call in your number, it looks really good. I mean, really professional. This is serious stuff. I mean, they're looking, they've obviously been injured, or maybe a loved one's been injured, and they can call in for loved ones, by the way, or family members. I should mention that. But if they're going to the site and they're going to call in a lawyer, it needs to look really good. It needs to look like a professional, really professional website. It's probably one of the campaigns where we actually deny people straight up just because the creative doesn't, the landing page just doesn't look good enough. For a lot of ones, as long as it's not, overly hostile and contains relevant information, we'll probably approve them. But a lot of them don't pass the eye test. So make sure you get, some good looking pictures, maybe some stock photos on there. Make sure, all the, information that they're looking for is on there. In terms of judging, I'm not the be all end all of, of deciding if a creative is good or not. But I would say that for something like this, you need to go a little bit above and beyond in terms of creatives. Just people need to feel really at ease. They're probably scared a little frustrated. Maybe they've already called into something like this and it didn't work out. Maybe they're in pain. Hey, we've all been there, chronic pain or an injury. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm miserable when I can't go to the gym or even walk or even, reach up to grab something. It's really frustrating. So you want to try and be as, soothing and professional as possible and stuff like that. One of the questions, I actually got this question twice about PPV, and thanks guys so much. Would 50 on Red be a good platform for this? That's a really good question. I want to say I think so, but I'll have to double check. It probably depends a little bit on if PPV is allowed in the first place. I would bet that it would be, and if it is, I think 50 on red would be fine too. So thanks very much for that question. I will make sure to find out and get back to you on that one. Okay, so what else are they going to ask for? They're going to ask about specifics of the injury right away, and then they're going to ask what state. If they don't really meet those criteria, they're going to be nice enough, but they are going to say we're going to recommend that you contact a local attorney instead. So I feel kind of bad because this marketing plan is almost more for what stuff not to do rather than what stuff to do. You're going to have to obviously figure that out a little bit on your own. But this is all the information I can grab for you guys. And we already mentioned this a little bit, but before it was just broken bones or a hospital visit or torn ligaments. Now minor injuries are allowed, no matter how minor. If they were injured in a car accident, if they hurt their wrist or whiplash or busted a tooth or something like that, you're going to be paid out on that one as well. One tip I wanted to mention also, if you've been denied on the campaign previously or you've ran the campaign with little success, now might be a good time to either reapply or try it again. I really do believe this new conversion will help, and that opens up a lot of targeting opportunities for you guys. You can use language like, were you seriously injured or were you just minorly injured? Doesn't matter, any degree of injury, call in and you'll be able to get connected with a local lawyer. All right, guys, well, that brings us to the end of the presentation. I want to thank everybody for joining me. We got some excellent questions on there. Thank you all very much. Went a little bit longer than I wanted, but then again, I usually do. I usually do ramble on a little bit. So yeah, if I can, finish up with any, thoughts, I'll just mention that this campaign is not for newbies, not for people that, haven't run legal traffic before. Again, remember, major, minor injuries pay out, and make sure to prime the caller before they call in. This webinar will be recorded. Make sure to follow us on Twitter it's at RingPartner. We're on Facebook. We're on Slack. If you're not part of those groups, make sure to message me. I'll make sure to set you up with that. We've got another really exciting webinar next Tuesday, February 2nd, about ring pools. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's our 9th lesson in the RingPartner curriculum, if you will. And Invoca, a couple people from Invoca are going to be joining us, Amalia and Sean, and we're going to go into the details about ring pools. Super useful for those that haven't done it already. So keep that in mind. Thanks very much for listening, and we will talk to you very soon. Have a good weekend. Take care.